My secretary does it for me.
Okay. This is my Periscope. Look, see. It's waiting. I love it. I love it. Periscope is on top of that. They were waiting. Okay, I'm hoping you guys can see us. All right. Okay, you can go ahead and start whenever you're ready.
Hi to all of you out there. We're excited about being here today. I'm really looking forward to this particular interview with Michelle Smack, the preacher's kid. Uh, we said earlier this week the tables have turned. Now it's her time. She interviews everybody else, but it's my turn to interview her. We're just going to jump right in because I feel like today we're going to gain a lot of insight as well as wisdom on how we can really become better parents as well as better pastors. My first question to you, Michelle, is there unrealistic expectation for the pastor's children?
Of course. That's a good question. I would say, first of all, I think a lot of the congregation and just people, when they hear that you are a pastor's kid, they expect for you to be like your mom and your dad.
Okay.
I don't have my mother's anointing. I don't have my father's anointing. And they expect for us to be perfect. They don't. I don't. I feel like they don't give us an opportunity to make mistakes and to have failures, just like they would.
And they're not really being giving you the opportunity to be who you are, which is children, correct?
Right. My name is Michelle Applewhite. My mother's name is Brenda Smack. Those are two different. You know what I'm saying? Those are two.
Absolutely, I understand.
Two different
Yes.
people with two different characters. I do things different. She do, like your
Absolutely.
kids.
Right, right. They have their own personalities, their own makeup. And the reason why I asked that question is that sometimes I don't know an awful lot because I was never a preacher's kid. But just from what I've observed and what I've seen is that they have all of these things that they want the preacher's kids to do, but they really don't have any real expectations for their own children.
For that, right. I think
So,
this is just me.
uh-huh.
I'm gonna go out there on the limb for the other preacher's kid. I think what it is a lot of people feel like, well, if we take the focus and put the focus on the pastor's daughter or the pastor's son, then you really won't see that my kid is jacked up, because we can be
Ah.
doing the same sin
Uh-huh.
that their kid is doing,
Uh-huh.
but because of the fact that we are the pastor's kid, then we know better. Oh, that's touchy right there for me. That's touchy. Yes, and I think that people do that. They may not be meaning to do it, but I think it takes the focus off the fact that your son is in fornication, your son is going to the club, just like, another pastor's son is. So what's the difference? Because sin is sin.
Absolutely, and to me there is no difference because again, as you said, sin is sin. But I think sometimes I find it appalling how people forget and don't want to really acknowledge that we are human,
Right.
whether it be the preacher's kid or my kid. You know what I mean? Because the truth of the matter is, all of them, whether they start out young, at the elementary age, all of them go through the stages of development. My kid as well as the preacher's kid.
But you hear most people say, but that's the pastor's daughter. That's the pastor's son. So how am I? Okay, it's like you're the one putting us up here. We're not asking to be put up here. You're putting us up here. The pastor's human like you. You see what I'm saying?
Absolutely, I do see. I do see that, and I think sometimes it's a far cry from people being able to accept the humanity of pastors as well as their children, because again, we are human,
Right.
and we're not perfect. They're a kid. You're going to go through. You went through the stages of development,
Right.
adolescence, puberty, the whole 9 yards. Their kid did the same. So I think sometimes their expectations are not within the confines of being reality.
I think what they fail to realize is, and this is just me saying it, I'll say me. I did not ask to be a preacher's kid. If I could turn the tables
So
and
you
do
didn't
it
come
again,
here with a tag on your tail.
no, say, hey, I want to be I desire to be a preacher's kid. No, I did not want. I ducked from it, and a lot of times what happened was I tried to do the opposite of the expectations
Yeah.
of a preacher's kid, so you would not know
that
that I
were.
was a preacher's kid.
Yeah.
You
But
see what I'm
you're
saying?
already labeled. Too
Yeah.
late for that.
Yeah, like we
Yeah.
did not asked to enter into this world. We had no choice.
True.
We do not have a choice of the matter. It's like as if you dragging a mule and you're studying saying, well, I don't want to go, I don't want to be a preacher's kid. I don't wanna be-" But hey, and I think a lot of people, they overlook that and they think that this is an exciting life. It's really not.
And it was something important you just said a moment ago. You didn't ask to be. And when you say that, I also think about your parents. Apostle William Smack as well as Apostle Brenda Smack.
I love them.
You know that, and I do too. That they didn't choose.
No.
They did not choose this.
I can't talk for my mother. I know she would
absolutely
want to
it
throw
was
in the towel.
something
Crazy.
that was God given, you know,
God-given.
and God chose them.
And you have to follow it out.
Absolutely. My next question, because we want to cover a lot today. We want to really do that because I'm hoping that some other preachers' kids are tuning in as well. But the other question I want to ask is, how difficult is it to mentally make the transition from your parents being your parents to to them being your pastor? Was there a transition that you had to make?
There is still a transition
Okay.
that I'm making.
That's what I want to hear.
It's difficult because sitting in the congregation and you're looking at your leader, you know, you're looking at your mom and your dad, but you're also looking at your apostle and your apostle. And I've sat in church on many of Sundays and Wednesdays getting it mixed up. You see the church members do stuff to your leaders, and then I'm not thinking on no member mind. I'm thinking that's my mom. So, you know, so in my mind, I'm thinking I'm going to get you as a daughter, not sit silent and pray as a member.
Okay. So you brought up something that was in my questions here. It's a little bit farther down, but you brought it up, so why not talk about it? How did it make you feel when you saw other people who were saying things and having negative behavior towards your parents? How did that make you feel? Because again, as you said before, it's hard making a transition because you see them as your spiritual leaders, but you also know that they are your parents. And how do you feel about that?
Okay, that question is a whammy for me because I'm a very transparent person, and then on the other side, I'm realizing that we are on the air, we are alive on the media, so I'm just going to answer as Shell would answer. I'm not going to answer as a Christian.
And that's what I want.
It angered me. I went through years of hating church people, and I kind of still dislike some of them. There, I got some residue. I'm not gonna sit there and lie. I got some residue because I see you. I have been in my own shoes. I've seen people in the congregation get in my mother's face. I have seen people in the congregation like bucket her, and then I've seen my mother in return deal with it on a spiritual level, as in to say, that's still a soul. I'd still see her go back and still pray for the same people that got in her face. The same people
I can identify.
You see what I'm saying? The same people.
I'm a pastor.
So you know, the same people who disrespected her and you know and would say, I'm a man, I'm a woman like she is a woman, or I'm a man like he's a man, and totally disrespect them. But the same people who need you to pay their rent or who need you. You understand what I'm saying?
Oh,
so that angered me.
I understand perfectly.
I wasn't trying to look at nothing, no spirit on no spiritual level, because now me being the member has went out the door. Now me being the daughter, not just the daughter, but the oldest daughter.
True.
My brothers and sisters aren't in church except for my baby sister. So I failed. I came short the mark. A lot of times I've slapped people in the church. I've cussed at people in the church, and I had to go through a process of getting it together and realizing, Shell, you can't deal with this in the natural. You have to deal with it in the spirit realm.
True. And I believe, again, I'll say this, I'm not a pastor's, a preacher's kid, but I'm certain that is a very hard and difficult thing to do. And on the flip side of that, you spoke again about your parents who have to sit there, you know,
and endure,
and really endure it from a godly perspective. But also, I think about the position that they're put in, because they're looking at you as being their daughter who wants to defend them, you know, and you're also over here as pastors who've got to do what's right in the eyes of the congregation.
So what happens is they don't tell me a lot of stuff that they really deal with. I only go based upon what I see. A lot of times the situation could have happened 3-4 days ago, and I not get it until later on. By the time I get it, everything's done calmed down. So now what I'm supposed to do? It's nothing. You understand? It's nothing I can do now.
To be where you are.
Y'all already got away with it.
It's to remain calm. I think that one of the true characters of pastoring is the being able to endure and yet hold your character in a godly perspective, wherein you never stoop to the level of the people. But I can imagine it's got to be hard for any pastor, bishop, apostle, whomever they are, to be put. Now, I see my daughter or I see my son who is really trying to defend me, and also I've got this congregation of people that I've also got to protect and remember that they are souls of Jesus Christ. I honestly believe in my heart that our reward is going to be great as pastors. And I really believe that somebody said, well, based upon our works, based upon our works, we are going to be given an eternal reward. But I also believe that the greatest reward we're going to get is when we endure things just like we're talking about. I believe that God himself has a greater reward than what we can even imagine. And a lot of times I say I don't want to miss that, because I certainly want to hear him say, well, then I know that your parents do too. Number 3.
Oh, you got a list of numbers?
Yeah, I came prepared for the interviewer herself. Yeah. Listen, we're talking about all of that. Have you ever noticed, I'm stepping away now, but I think it's coming into line with what I want to talk about as well. What happens when you see people who say that they are really loyal to your parents, but on the other side of the coin, let's say it like this, they portray one image when they're with your parents, but then seeing them outside, there is a altogether different person. How has that affected you? What kind of impact does it have had on you?
On me.
Yeah, I want to hear that.
You see me now, right? I have no idea what questions you were going to ask, but by you asking these questions, it allows me to realize there is some residue. There is some tender spots. That is one of the tender spots. I have seen people come in. I've been in my mother and them's ministry maybe 14 years, dedicated.
Okay.
They've been in ministry, I think 17 or 18. And I have seen people come in, and I'm not just talking about people. I'm talking about from the pulpit, from pastors on, who say, God sent me to your ministry. This is so heart-touching to me. God sent me to your ministry.
But remember,
to help
now we're
you.
reaching some others as well. And I'm glad today that you're speaking from that perspective, because, not cutting you off, save your thought, But remember, there are men and women out there
who feel that way
who feel the
and
same
don't have
way.
a voice.
Don't have a voice.
I've seen people come in this ministry from the pulpit on and say, God sent me to help you, to help your ministry, or God sent me to make sure that your needs are taken care of.
Heard that lots of times.
And I'm as a daughter, and like I said, sometimes I get it twisted, but I know I am a prophetess. I know who I am, and I know what I pick up. And a lot of times people have just come in to get titles, to get up underneath of them, so when my mom and dad had to go out and people see them with them, then they're trying to figure out. Then you have people who leave the ministry for whatever reason, and they take members with them. So what was really your motive? What hidden agenda did you really have? Is anybody stable? That's what I'm saying. So as a pastor's kid, it makes it awkward for me to attach myself to anybody that comes in, because I don't know whether you're for them or whether you're really against them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And a lot of times what you see is, again, that people are pretty much trying to project themselves, hoping to gain or to become greater than.
Not realizing they trying to make it just like y'all trying to make it.
Absolutely, absolutely. In other words, they come in not with the motive or the heart to help, but with the sense of what can I gain that's going to benefit me.
Exactly.
And how sad is that?
It's sad.
It's
sad.
And with you,
it's sad. It's damaging.
Absolutely, it really is, because again, you can only hide.
But so much.
But so much. Absolutely, I agree with you. I agree with you there. And on the other side of that, do you think that? And I say this, and I know what the answer is going to be. You got to know this as well, and I'm certain in your mindset you're probably saying, "Does my mom and them see that?"
Listen here, honey. I have said, I didn't mean to disrespect you,
no,
honey.
You're good.
For
you're
years
good.
and years and years,
Absolutely.
I have said that. I was like, don't my mom and them see this? Don't. And I would get twisted a little bit about that. You know, I stand back and I'm watching, and I know I'm not seeing this in the negative. Or I'm not seeing this in the natural. I'm seeing it in the spirit. And the people still right up underneath of them. But then my mind goes back to, my mother is a prophetess. And my mother has been accurate a lot of times. My mother has discernments. And then I've learned over the years, just because she doesn't react, doesn't mean she doesn't know. You know what I mean? A lot of times God is showing her things, but she just doesn't respond on it.
Okay. And I think that is important too, because again, what you don't, just because I don't say it doesn't mean that
it ain't heard.
Don't know it.
Right.
I don't know it. You know, we just have to operate from a different perspective.
Right.
That's what we have to do. You know. Okay. I want to go on.
We're still on.
Still on. And I want to also talk about. There's a whole lot of controversy, especially when pastors, bishops, or whomever give their children, I should say give, but appoint with the leading of the Lord positions.
Okay.
And you have the congregation has the mentality that you were given this position. Because you are the pastor's daughter or pastor's son. How do you feel about that?
That right there, I think that's a little complicated on both sides, because as a parent or as a leader, then you're thinking the same thing. Okay. Every church is different, every pastor is different, and every child is different. You see what I'm saying? I think when I became an evangelist, there were qualifications I was watched. I was trained. They didn't just, they didn't just give it to
give
me.
it to you.
No,
because you were their daughter.
If anything, it was harder for me because I am the daughter. Then I was used as the example. You see what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And I think people overlook that. Like, okay, just because I have the title and I have the license of being an evangelist, they didn't just give that to me. They didn't.
So you had to follow I have a list of expectations.
Exactly. Just listen.
So what you're saying is your mother and father didn't make an exception because you were their daughter.
They never do. Like I said, if anything, I would be pulled. I would wait. The members would go first, and then it would be me. Never me, and I think most pastors can say the same thing. It's never going to be your pastors, your children. It's going to be the people, and then allow them.
Absolutely. But sometimes people within their thinking, again, feel like, oh, she gave her that position or he gave him that position, when in actuality, it doesn't work like that.
If you knew how many times I've sat back and did not do what the Lord told me to do because I didn't want the people to feel that way, nor did I want them to act crazy or stupid towards my leaders with them thinking, because one thing my mother always says is this ministry is not going to be a family. It's not going to be ran by a family.
It's not, and I say this often.
And that's
ministry
good.
is not family business.
It's
not a family business.
But let me tell you something. A lot of times, a family member will step up to the plate when the congregation won't. You see what I'm saying? And I think people overlook that. They use this as the congregation uses this as I'm going to beat you in the face, because it's ran by the family. No, it's not that it's ran by the family. Sometimes the leaders don't have a choice but to use who's going to work.
That's kids.
And us as kids, we always going to step up to the plate. But I found myself standing back a lot and allowing other people to try to work. And they weren't having it.
Yeah. And the truth of the matter is the ministry has to go on.
It's got to go on.
Unbeknown to what some of the congregation thinks, we're not stopping. So whoever has a heart and they're willing to jump in and do the job, not so much as we're giving somebody a position, but whoever's willing to take on that task, we certainly welcome it.
And God's gonna honor that.
Absolutely.
And if the kids don't do, and if the congregation don't do, He'll bring somebody off the street that will do, because, like you said, ministry is gonna get done.
It has to. It's not, and I think sometimes we fail to realize it's not our work.
Right.
It's His work.
Right.
And unbeknown to what people think, there's always this demand that He's putting on leadership. You got to get this done. You got to get that done. This has to be done, because why? It's His work.
It's His work.
It's His work. So I wanted to ask that. The other thing I want to ask, was there ever a time, or maybe it may be now, when you said, I just want my mom and dad back? In other words, I want to go back to the normal life, wherein they were not pastors. And the reason why I say this is because I hear it a lot, and it's commented a lot. I hear preachers' kids say, my mom and dad go through so much. You said earlier about different pastors coming in. Sometimes your family members know who are really true, authentic, friends for them, opposed to who's the enemy are. And they watch them be talked about. They watch them. Sometimes people try to tarnish their character. Sometimes they try to tarnish the ministry. Is there ever a time you say, I just want my mom and dad, I want to go back to the normal life?
I've said that a lot. Screaming, I'm 47, and I still scream today, like a little kid, like, I just want my mom and my dad back. Like I said before, my brothers and sisters aren't in the ministry, except for my baby sister. And so they have the option of having mom and dad. With me being in the ministry, I have an apostle, and then I have mom and dad. But you make that transition. and trying to make it like because of the members. And I know people are always hollering, "Don't worry about the people. Don't worry about the people. Don't worry." And that's true. We should not worry about the people. But when you're sitting in the ministry, you are concerned about other. Well, I'll say me concerned about how other people feel. So if I'm up underneath my mom 24/7, lollygagging and smiling and carrying on, then you've got members, believe it or not, who are jealous of that relationship. So it kind of pulls you away because you don't want people to think, well, mom is telling me everything that goes on in the church. My mom don't tell me nothing, you know. And I stay up north, so I have to call and talk to my mother. I'm not like in my mother's face 24/7, and I do miss that. That's coming back around, but I think it's because of the ministry, because they give 100% to the ministry. So when they give 100% to the ministry, then you have your family that is lacking. And it's not a choice that they decide to make. It's just that this is the will of God, and the will of God is what needs to be taken care of. But then you have a lot of people in the congregation who are just so needy and so vulnerable and so babyish that they can be home and you're calling them.
Really, who gives no thought to the fact that your mother and your father have children and has a family, and that they need them sometime more.
We are just allowing you to spend time.
Did you hear that?
With our parents. We are just allowing.
But anytime you can bogart your way, no.
Well, that's how we feel. But you know, when you're thinking ministry, you can't do that.
And I said that because I saw earlier this month, I think it was, or last month, you guys went on a family vacation.
Listen.
And, you know, with everything you put out there, it looked like you had a wonderful time. One of the things that I saw, you guys were on a boat ride. So what was that like? Having your mom and your dad away from the people, away from ministry, away from, I hope no one called, I hope no one, you know, had a dire emergency, and just being able to have that time with them.
They still pulled on them while we was on vacation, sis. They still text her. You see what I'm saying? And I looked at my mom and I said, Mom, let me respond to these people and tell them you are on family vacation.
Yeah. So you should have said, Mom, let me take your phone.
I did. But you know, when you're so embedded, you can say as a leader.
Yes.
When
you're gonna say, no, I need to keep it because I don't, you know, something may come up. Somebody. And
we still had an excellent time. I think at that point they had to, use wisdom.
Yes.
She really used the wisdom a lot. It didn't take away from what we were doing. It didn't take away from her being with us.
And that's what a good leader does. Yeah, they know how to use wisdom so that we keep a balance with everything that we do.
Exactly.
But that's what good leaders do. And you have excellent leaders. I think this one, at the end of a day, what do you think matters the most? After looking at from a preacher's kid, at the end of a day, what do you think matters most?
At the end of the day, I think what matters most for me is that and I'm not gonna say leaders, that my mom and dad are okay, that my mom and dad are healthy, that my mother and father are stress-free, and that my mom and dad are doing the work of the Lord. Not what people want them to do, but being obedient to God. And that what matters to me the most. And sometimes it's kind of hard to fight through the crowd because you got people who are like, you know, like little birds. Help me. At the end of the day, I just feel like any pastor or no pastor should be stressed concerning the ministry.
True.
You know, if they're teaching us and they're showing us and directing us how to live, we should be mature enough to be able to be a help to them. I should be able to intercede on their behalf. You see what I'm saying? And that's where God is maturing me right now, where when I come back, I should be able to be in a place where I can take the load off of them. You see what I'm saying? Not not about me, what I
True,
need.
true.
I should be able to take the load off of them. They should be able, you as a leader, at any given time, if the Lord tells you to go into another ministry and go preaching, you should be able to leave your church.
Because you should have a congregation that is mature enough to carry on without any problems.
At the end of the day, that's what I expect.
Very, very true. And one of the things now, looking at leadership, I was sharing with somebody just the other day. There's an all-time high out there of pastors who are overly stressed to the point that some of them are having health issues, mental issues,
Listen.
as well as taking their own lives.
Listen, God will really have to deliver me and set me free. You see what I'm saying? Because
Yes.
ministry should not do that to you.
Yes.
It
Yes.
should be as hard as you guys teach and preach, and as pastor kids, we see that. We see y'all pouring out. We see you going to people's rescue. We see you allowing people to come in your space. And at the end of the day, you should be stress free.
It's so very true. So very true. The other thing I want to talk about now is do you see people that feel like they are indispensable? In other words, without them, the church would not be successful.
I do, and that's in any church you go to. I do.
How does that make you feel as a preacher's kid? They hear Sister, we just making up her name, Sister Molly says, the church really can't run without me. Or the deacon Junebug says, I'm the best deacon they have.
I just feel like, I don't know. That's a good question. I feel like that we need to pull that person to the side, let them sit down for a little bit, let them sit down and relax, and see how ministry does run without you. Because now I know they say everybody should play their part in the ministry. Everybody has a part, but you don't have the whole entire part.
No.
You don't have the whole entire part. I really haven't seen that too much going in ministry. I haven't.
Okay. All right.
Now I have seen. I have seen where pastor can't get around without me, or pastor may not be covered without me.
Okay. Talk a little bit about that then. How did that make you feel? Are you talking in a sense those people who work very close with leadership? Are you talking about the driver? Are you talking about the armor bearer? Are you talking about
Now you got to remember,
adjutant? Are you talking about what?
I'm talking about them all. Simply because, like I said, I've been in the seats for years, and I've seen it. I've seen big crowds around them. I've seen little crowds around them. I've seen crowds around them to the point where if they're outflowing in ministry, I have been pushed to the side so that they can cover. How did that make me feel? When I got up out the floor, I was ready to fight. I went in. You so
yes,
I was in there. I was in the spirit before I went to the floor.
You pushed me aside, but I really am her daughter.
Yeah. It's like first of all, I'm not gonna, and I think any pastor's child can say this. We do not have to fight for position, and we will not fight for position. Because at the end of the day, I'm still gonna be here. When you get mad and you leave, when you get rebuked and you leave, my position, if that's what you want to call it, is not going anywhere. And I can.
You have a permanent position.
I have a permanent
which means that you're the daughter.
So I don't have to be stuck up underneath of them 24/7.
Yeah.
So, but those people who, like, at the end of the service, one of the so-called armor bearers, and you can't get to your mother to say hello, and she's on her way to get in the car. You're trying to cover that be that spiritual. I've walked through all of that. How does that make me feel? That didn't make me feel too good.
Right.
But out of respect
for what
I sit back quietly,
and out of respect, really, for your mother and the position that she holds, and the work that she's doing for the Lord, it brings you back in the right perspective.
And if you are if you are called by God or if you're chosen by God, um, you should have integrity.
I believe in it.
So
I
even
believe in
with
it.
being a pastor's child, we should have integrity.
Yeah.
Um, we should have character. And like I said, I'm not always crossed every T and dotted every I. But at the end of the day, I look at it as like I'm a very bold person. Everybody knows that. I can speak something and mean what I say and call it quits and walk
Right.
away.
Right.
But how is that going to make or break the ministry?
True.
You see what I'm saying?
And that one thing that you want to do is always remember, again, that it's not your mom's and dad's work. It is the Lord's
It
work.
is the Lord's work.
And you always want to project what they've taught you.
Exactly.
And when you do that, you find yourself growing and maturing. You may not like, as they say, you may not like the manure, but you do like the mature.
We do have a choice in the matter of, and I say that all the time to myself. I can either choose to get that person,
True, but
and
you
put them in their
already,
place, or I can just be silent and
it's
pray
key,
about it.
key, but you already know the heart of your mother and your father.
Exactly.
And when you know the heart of your mother and father, you're able to endure some things.
Right.
Things that you have seen. Now, my next thing I want to say is, why is there such a strong dislike or ignorance of some members when there's a lot of time to celebrate the pastor or your pastor? And the reason why I say that is when we talk about celebrating or honoring the man and the woman of God, there is a awful lot of controversy, tension. Sometimes you hear things, and not only will you hear things, you see things. When you look at how giving, and I know how giving your parents
That
are.
they are.
Your parents have been great and instrumental in our lives, and we're very, very appreciative, because I feel like I wouldn't be where I'm at today, especially for your mother and your father. And I know how giving they are. I know how compassionate they are. I know how your dad and your mom both will give their last. Think about how they opened up their homes, and we've been over numerous of times and had dinners and the whole 9 yards. You think you're going to eat, but you're really going to be spiritually fed and all those kinds of things. Why do you think people have such a hard time celebrating?
We're not talking about my parents. We're talking about pastors in general.
In general.
Right? Okay. Well,
but then
and then you talk about mine. Okay,
pastor.
to mine. That's okay.
Uh-huh.
This is just me thinking, because deep down on the inside, as you said, we're human beings. I don't know, we're spiritual, but we're human beings. And I can be around you and I can accept and take everything you have, but deep down inside, I might not really like you. I might really hate you with a passion on the inside. So if that's how I feel on the inside, then I'm not going to celebrate you. As I said earlier, I stand back a lot, and I don't go from church to church. I don't go to people's churches and visit like that, because I don't know who likes my parents and who don't like my parents. And that's a very uncomfortable, and they know. And that's an uncomfortable feeling to me, for me,
But
because you have services that celebrate you, and you think, as a pastor daughter, so-and-so should be there, when you've seen with your own eyes how much your parents have poured into these people or these ministry and given away money, and then those people don't show to support. That's hurtful, not just to the leaders, but
to the children.
To the children. I told my mom a lot of times, like, these people don't like you. Not all these people like you. And that's sad, because, like you said, you pour out, you watch them pour out. And when it comes time to celebrate, deep down inside, they really not for you.
Yeah, and you said a powerful thing, because it has occurred. My children are not even Christians, and they say to me often, they said, "Mommy, you give your heart. You're always doing for people. You're always going. Sometimes we can't even have you to ourselves because of what you do." And to see people who don't come back. But you know what? I've come to learn, at one point in time, you really did get the best of me. But I've come to learn that it really is their loss, and it's my gain.
Right.
And it's the same thing with your mother and your father. It's their loss and their gain. And now, we bring it down, we leave that, but we come down to the members. What happens when the members don't want to celebrate or or honor. They have a problem. And you said this. You said my parents are the most giving, and they're the most loving. Something I know. You're not talking to a stranger.
Right.
I know for a fact that they are. So, how does that make you feel when you? Okay.
I want this one to be heard. Go
ahead. Go ahead. Let's say that for a birthday, whomever's birthday, maybe it's your mother, maybe it's your father, maybe it's whomever. How does that make you feel?
It doesn't make me feel good at all, simply because they sow their whole life, their whole entire life to this ministry. They give up everything that they have to make sure that this ministry gets. And then when you have people that aren't supportive, I think it's a slap in the face. Like, why are you wasting their time if you're not supportive of them? I'm still trying to figure that one out.
That's a very good question. Sometimes that's one that I really propose as well. Why are you here? Not HEAR, but why are you HERE?
Right. But some people are so rebellious that they would rather stay in a ministry and try to provoke you than just take up your grip and just leave. Like I said, some people are so rebellious that I'm just going to sit here, or I've been here too long to leave and go anywhere else. And all you're doing is you're hindering yourself.
Absolutely. I agree with you 100%. On the other side of that, I look at some times.
That's not the case. Because I don't think pastors are swindling the money, because you barely give anything. And then I've seen from my own mom and dad where if the ministry doesn't give, my dad takes out of his pocket and makes sure that bills and everything is taken care of. And those are the things that I think the congregation does not see, because they're not going to out and say, hey, you didn't take care of the lights today, I took care of the lights, or you didn't take care of the mortgage today, I took it. They just do it.
Okay. That's what ministry is all about. And there again, there are things that the members don't get to see, or nor do they have knowledge of. And for many of them, they take things out of context.
Right.
You know what I mean? Really based upon, again, what they have come to believe about the leader. Not all leaders are rich.
No,
again,
not all.
Something.
We on the Eastern Shore, none of us are rich at all.
Because, again, you can't say that anybody here on the Eastern Shore is a multimillionaire, because we're not.
But when the people are given to your lead, given to the work of God,
when that mindset,
that's what I said. I think the mindset is jacked up.
The mind again, unless you transform that mind, again, they come to believe, that they have too much. They have too much. Do you think that your pastors, your parents should receive financially from the ministry?
I think that they should. They don't. But I think that they should. I think they should. All the drama, I'll use that word, all the drama that the church takes them through, I think that they deserve to be not paid, but, I need to make sure that my leader is okay. Not my mom and my dad, but if the congregation should be like, I should make sure that my leader
spiritually,
you
want to make sure financially that they are okay.
Yeah, you should never go on a trip and you have to dig out your own pocket. No, you shouldn't have to do that. Especially if my leader is digging to make sure that my rent is paid, or making sure that I'm okay, making sure that I eat. Then why can't I do the same thing as a member?
I agree. I believe that. I believe that again has to deal with the mindset of individuals. Some people believe that pastors should not take anything, should not be given anything. But again, you said we're always giving.
You're always giving 24/7.
They're always giving. all the time, and think of what you're receiving from the giving. Sometimes people look at your life on a spiritual. Oh, they pray for me, they do this, but there comes a time in our life that we have needs. Sometimes you can have a need to the point that you don't verbalize it, you don't make it vocal so that people will know. And how sad is that? Because again, I'm in agreement with you. Leaders should be taken care of.
And someone should be in the place to
Absolutely.
discern that. Because you
Absolutely.
do have people that will not, like you said a while ago, some leaders won't say, hey, I need this, I'm in need of that. And then they should not feel ashamed if they have to ask you for something. I just feel like you should voluntarily give it. Here,
Absolutely.
take it. I mean, you're feeding me, you're helping me, teaching me how to go out there and how to do warfare. What is $20? What is $100? Especially if I have it in the bank.
Especially when you have parents like yours who do so much for the people, as well as other pastors out there who do a lot of things. There are things that have been done that you're not even at liberty to speak about. And sometimes I get very annoyed, and I'm sure you can attest to this as well, when they exit the church and they go to another ministry.
And then talk about the leader. They talk about their old leader to
There
the
you
new
go.
leader. Listen.
That's nothing I'm going to talk about. How does that make you feel? Because I know, being with your parents for the length of time that you have been, I'm certain you've seen people call that you just said a moment ago, take things out of money out of their to know that if this person has or is coming here, that they have been released, just like you said,
Right.
by the leader.
By the leader.
And we have that paperwork that says you can. But for the most part, we don't receive, you know.
And you can't tell a person you can't come and visit my church.
I can't do that. You can't do that.
You
cannot
do that.
But what you can tell them is, okay, and I've said this more than one time, does your leader know that you're here?
Does your leader know you're here?
Does your leader know you're here on a Sunday morning? You come back again on Wednesday. Well, I mean, by the time you get back on Wednesday, I've already made contact.
That'll stop a lot of stuff.
Your leader. I think that it is a wise thing. And the reason why I said it's a wise thing is because I cannot go to another doctor. You cannot go and see another physician unless you sign a release form.
Right.
Now,
that's true.
when you sign the release form, it gives them the right to have your records sent.
Mm-hmm.
So they have the opportunity to view
Everything that you need
about you.
Right.
Now, if that can be done in the natural, why can't we do it in the spiritual realm? You coming, I want to know something about you. I don't want you, if you were a person just like you said a moment ago, sowing discord, troublemaker, non-trustworthy, and playing hopscotch when it comes to church attendance. Come on.
Because all you're doing is you're taking that spirit to a whole nother church, and now that leader has to deal with this spirit that you got on you. When pastors start saying, "No, how about you go back over to the person? How about you going back home so
Yes,
they can deal with you?"
Absolutely. But what I found is you don't give a person the accountability that he or she needs in her life as long as you're going to be a leader who is receiving individuals when they come from another ministry and you've not made that contact. If the doctors can do it, would you want another doctor to see you?
No.
Without the consent of your main physician?
Especially if you don't know
primary
my
care
case.
physician. There you go.
You don't
why not practice the same thing in the arena of the kingdom? But we don't. I've also come to learn, not to cut you off, I also come to learn that sometimes there are other pastors out there, as you said earlier, don't like you.
Right.
So for them, it's like...
listen, that's what that right there. That's why I
for
said
them, it's like a strike.
Like I got your child in my ministry.
I got,
really? and I know I don't like you. You're not going to do that to me.
And I've heard some say he's a bad boy, she's the bad girl. And I said,
You're not going to do that.
You're absolutely right. I've also seen them come and call 6 months later. Such a call. You should call first.
Yeah, you should call first.
Call first.
Yeah.
My other thing I wrote down, and I put a little star beside it because it's like a bonus question.
It's a bonus question, and what is that?
It's like a little bonus question.
What is that?
You have officially got your mom and dad.
Okay. Will I definitely be covered? Will the leader that I'm going, will he definitely cover me? am I equipped? I mean, it's like when you're out, it's like moving from your parents' home going to college. Okay, it lets me know I've matured in some levels, but then there's still some levels that I need learning in. Will I make the right decision? Will I make the right choices? Will I be around the right people? Because now I know, and my mom in those ministry, because I know they have my back, I can live life with walls around. So now I've got to put down walls and trust that God has my back. You see what I'm saying?
Yes,
and I have to put my heart out there, like, okay, he might decide that he want to bring me a couple friends. I don't know about that. You see what I'm saying? So I have to trust the leading of God, and that's kind of where it's an uncomfortable feeling because I'm out of my comfort zone. I'm way out of my comfort zone.
Well, that's when you know you're in the will of God. Is when you're out of your comfort zone.
I'm out of
and you're in a place where you totally have to depend upon Him.
That's where I'm at.
For His leading and for His guiding. And He will do that. He's leading you. He's guiding you. So it won't ever be the same because of where you're going and what you're going to be involved in. But one thing you can count on, He is really going to protect you. He's the one that's going to protect you.
I do believe that.
And so with that, feeling unfamiliar, unknown, will you be able to say in a couple of months, I've learned something from this. I've learned something from everything that we're talking about today.
I believe that.
We have some other people out there that are tuning in today. I pray that preachers' kids are watching as well as pastors. What would you say to them? I mean, there are a whole lot of them that perhaps have not reached the place, as you said earlier. All of us have areas. I myself, as being a pastor, I'm still a new kid on the block. I'm still learning. But what would you say to them today who have heard you, but they still have some things that have perhaps caused them to leave the place of where the mother or father does pastor, or just caused them to leave the church in general, leave God? I don't want to think about church, but I want to think about God, their walk with the Lord. What would you say to them today?
First of all, I would say to focus on having a relationship with God, you and God. First, God's healing.
Absolutely.
And once you're healed, then you can hear God clearly, and you won't make decisions based upon your emotions.
Absolutely. I want to personally thank you for today. You've answered all 15 questions that I had, and what a wonderful.
You have 15 questions?
15 answers. What a wonderful insight as well as wisdom. For your time, and certainly thank all of you for watching on today. We pray that something we said, she said, I should say Michelle said, help you today. And most importantly, those preachers' kids out there, we're praying that you reconnect and get their relationship back with God. That is the most important. Out of everything that we said today, it's all about God. Love ya.
I do want to say that I do apologize that we had hit and missing on the live connections, but I will go back and I will do it like number 1, number 2, number 3. If you can't follow it that way, then you can check it out on Periscope. It is on Periscope, and if I'm not mistaken, I think the whole interview went through on Periscope. So again, thank you guys for tuning in with Keeping It 100 with Michelle A.
Love it. Love it. You answered all of my 15 questions.
Hold on.
Thank you, Lord.